So Mr. Osas Fagbemi, a property investor, is planning his big retirement from active business as he just clocked 70 years. He wants to recruit a company who will manage his properties so as to have a peaceful retirement. He also wants to know the pros and cons of handing such properties to companies having the best interest of his prospective tenants at heart. Now, it is true that when it comes to property management, it is only proper and rewarding to have experts handle all that concerns the management so as to get the best results in regards of returns on investment as well as peace of mind for the property owner. However, some property managers often act in a manner that does not actually reflect the true intention of the property owner. Similarly, the interests of the tenants are not properly considered when making decisions. Now, flowing from the above, it is important for us to, center this discussion around property managers, property owners, and tenants. And the aim of this is to have all issues surrounding property management sufficiently taken care of. So the first thing we'll be talking about, one of the issues that come up in property management is having property managers give the property owners below market rents. And in explaining this, one of the many challenges that many property owners face is that when a property is entrusted to property managers, these managers fail to relate the current market value of the property to the owners. Now, they give out the current market value as the rent to the tenant, but when they want to remit the rent, they give the owners like below the market value, and this is cheating the property owners. So what we'll be advising property owners to do is, despite the fact that you are giving your property to property managers or companies to manage on your behalf, the solution is to conduct independent market surveys as a property owner to avoid being underpaid for your property, and also to help your tenants from paying excessively in cases where property managers inflate the rent. So the next thing we'll be talking about now is hidden fees. And so for for tenancy agreement, now I think this one relates with the tenant, and like every other contract, there are some terms that are inserted in your tenancy agreement which compels you as a tenant to pay more than you have envisaged. Now, the trap here is that many tenants don't go through their tenancy agreement. You don't give a lawyer to go through your tenancy agreement to see all those vague terms or ambiguous terms that the property manager could have put in there, such that in the future you'll be liable to pay more charges than you bargained for. So what we'll be advising you to do in this regard is that when you get your tenancy agreement, you give it to a lawyer to review for you. Now, how the lawyer comes in is they look out for the loopholes, for the clauses that are vague and ambiguous, for the clauses that give room for modification by the property managers in the nearest future when they want to now come and inflate your rent. So we'll be advising you to do that. So in the instant you get your tenancy agreements, make sure it is properly reviewed so that your interests will be protected. Now, the next thing I'll be talking about is mixed messages from the company. Now, in this case, there are some situations where conflicting information will be emanating from a single company. For instance, now a company maybe wants to do a discount over a property, and then you think that, okay, this is the property I'm going for, and then you communicate with another person from the same company, and then you're just not clear you're not clear on which property exactly you're going for. And this is as a result of, okay, maybe they have many people working under them, many employees, and people handling customers and all of that. And so when you communicate with this person today and they give you this particular information, tomorrow you communicate with another person, they give you another information. Now there's confusion. So the way out here is to have property management companies assign your customers to maybe a particular staff, so they don't have to go back and forth. So let one staff manage one customer, or let like a team manage a property, so everybody is in sync as to the information they are giving out about that particular property. Now the fourth thing we'll be talking about today is poor reporting and communication by the property managers to the property owners. Now there are some instances where there is a breakdown in communication system between the property owners and the managers, and even between the property managers and the tenants. Communication is very key when you are dealing with people, and so where there is poor communication, it can lead to irreconcilable differences, where you assume that this is what you communicated to this person, and maybe you actually did not communicate to the person, or so many back and forths can come up from poor communication. And to avoid this, we would be recommending that you have like a stable mode of communication. Now you see some agreements, they'll say, okay, any notice or any communication should be in writing. So we know that the mode of our communication is by letter. We exchange correspondence from each other, and preferably to where you believe that maybe exchanging communication via correspondence might not be feasible, you can create an alternative means of communication. That, okay, provided that where it's not feasible for us to exchange letters or exchange correspondence, maybe email or even maybe WhatsApp, but that, okay, this is how we communicate. So when anything wants to come up in the nearest future, you can always refer back to whatsoever you communicated about. So the fifth thing I'll be talking about today is the fact that property management is expensive, and this concerns property owners. Now you must realize as a property owner that the cost of property management could be very expensive, and this is as a result of many factors, which could be the quality of the housing, the location of the home, the current rental and housing market, the local manager competition, anticipated monthly rent of your home. And so you should consider all of this in bargaining as to the cost of your property management with your property manager. So you must have the understanding that for instance, maybe you have your property on the island. The cost of maintaining and managing that property would be more expensive than having to manage a property on the mainland. So in coming, many a times you want to underpay your property managers, and this would, create loopholes for them to want to exploit you, because when they are not happy doing your work, they want to look for a way to make themselves happy or make it a win-win situation, and it might cost you more, in that type of situation. So the next thing I'll be talking about is high maintenance cost. So keeping a property in good shape could be costly, that is no doubt, because from wear and tears, you have to do this, and then inflation too is happening. The cost of building materials and things to keep your house in shape has skyrocketed, and so this makes maintenance costly. So the cost of labor too could be expensive. So to this end, every property owner must know that the best option to keep his property in good shape, you must know the best option to keep your property in good shape, and one way to do this is to give the management of your property to a company that has the capacity to maintain the property. Now it may be hard for an individual, that is just like a lone individual, to manage your property effectively, considering the fact that the cost of maintenance is high. But when you give it to a company that probably has the in-house staff, maybe they have a plumber in-house, they have a welder, they have a carpenter in-house, and all those things, it makes it easier. So they can even give you a discount or a package, so to say, for your property maintenance, such that any wear and tear that occurs, they will just call one of their in-house staffs to just sort it out. So you just need to take out your time to think well of the options available to you and your pockets, considering extraneous factors like this one, like the cost of maintenance. So The seventh thing I'll be talking about today is that sometimes property owners, property managers do not carry out inspections. Some property managers, they don't properly manage the properties given to them. What is seen is that most of them act like, the regular caretakers that only come around when it's time for tenants to pay rent, and this is not good enough. So it is good for you as a property manager to ensure that you constantly visit the property to know the state of the property and make repairs at the earliest stage where it has not deteriorated so much, such that the amount that could have been spent in fixing it will now be more than what you ought to have spent. So it's very important for you to carry out constant visitation of the property. Then also, another challenge you can face in property management is bad tenants. And what will bring about a situation where you have a bad tenant is where you don't do your background check on your tenants. You don't just admit anybody into your house. You don't let out your house to just anybody. You need to know, okay, so this person, what and what, where. Okay, you can even ask questions that, okay, why did you leave your previous apartment? Ask questions. Just do your background check to know. Maybe ask them what they do for a living. Maybe you can have a lot of things to ask them. Just do your background check basically and then use your instincts to. Some people have you can just use your instincts to know, okay, is this person going to be a responsible tenant, or is he going to be the type of tenant? You can read a person from merely seeing them. So just use your discretion to pick your tenants carefully. Then another problem you can face in property management is where your property manager, where your property manager lacks the owner's mindset. Now it's very important that your property manager has the owner's mindset. That is, they will treat your property as though it is their own. So when you have a situation where your property manager lacks this mindset, they can treat your things lackadaisically and just treat it in a very shabby way. But where they have the owner's mindset, they will take care of it as though it is their own. And we can advise that when you want to give your property to someone to manage it, you can give someone that actually owns a property so they can manage your property using their experience as an owner, and to make sure your property is kept in good shape. So summarily, it is important to recruit a property manager to manage your property. However, it is more important to get the right persons or companies to manage your property. And more so, as a property owner, timely inspections should be carried out on all your property, despite the fact that you have property managers, to assess the situation with them and to have first-hand information. And what this will do for you is that it will bring you, you'll be in tune with the realities on ground rather than relying on hearsays from your property manager. So thank you so much for joining us on this episode. Till next time.